It's always wonderful to welcome you to this beautiful sanctuary that we find ourselves in, and on a beautiful day especially. There's an expression that is lonely at the top. It's lonely in the front too. So if anyone in the back 40 ever want to move forward, that would be cool too. So we have more company up here. Well, we are Unity in Ashland, and we are a community that invites and welcomes all people from all paths. No matter where you are in your path, you're always welcome here. So, some of you may be here for the very first time, and I would like to know about that so we can all greet you. Is there anyone here who's never been here before, here for the first time? Yes, what's your name?
Barbara Hines.
Barbara, and you're from where?
I'm from Ashland.
You're from Ashland, okay. And I know that you are with your mom today, right? Welcome. Anybody here? Yes. What's your name, honey? Adam? Say it. Oh, okay, Azra. Okay, and where are you from? Okay, good place to be from. Anybody else here for the first time, or have you all been here before? Okay. Is this my phone?
A little bit. A little more volume.
Good. Could be a little bit more. Who else in this section is here for the first time? Anybody here? Moving this way. Anybody over here for the first time? Okay, well, welcome everybody. We have a wonderful musician planned today that we're going to hear from in a little bit, Frankie Hernandez. He's been here before, but it's a treat to have something a little different once in a while. So we'll be experiencing him with Richard Williams pretty soon. But first, let's go into some announcements. We like to get the business part of the service out of the way first. And I know there are a few announcements. I'll make one, and that would be that we have a prayer group that meets in the back room every Monday evening from 5 until 6, and everyone's welcome to join in that. And if you have anything heavy on your heart, we have a prayer box in the back. It's a wooden box. There are some little pieces of paper that you can write your prayer requests on. And those prayer requests will be prayed for by our group back there. And then they are sent on to Silent Unity, and they'll be prayed for a month. So it's a wonderful way to really saturate your requests with a lot of energy. And I know there are some other announcements today. Jane, you have an announcement, right?
Yes. There is going to be the final Mayan celebration on Saturday, the 29th of October. And anybody who wants to come, we're actually asking for a $10 donation so that we could pay for the space. And there's a sign-up sheet in the back there so that I can get your email and send you the directions. And then I also put a piece of paper back there. The Journey to Completion group is beginning on this Thursday, and that's kind of like the intro class, and then that class will be split up into two on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you're interested, please sign up there, and I'll contact you as well, your phone number and email. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Jane. You're used to seeing me up here only when we have a guest speaker, but we do have our own beloved Reverend Norma here today, so no worries. And I know that she has an announcement to make too. Do you want to make that now?
Well, I thank Jane for making them both, really, but it's time to start the journey to completion again. And I invite any of you to come into it and talk to me. I like to interview you ahead of time and see if you need to do it in a group or individually. Very good thing to do. And what I'm thinking about is that the journey to completion, we are on a journey to completion. Whether we believe in the Mayan calendar's placing of it in our 2011, 2012 time period, we're all on a journey to completion in our lives. We will complete these lifetimes at some point. And so today's topic is talking about befriending death. The wonderful events that we've been having, like Jane said, are culminating now. And October 28th is the final day of the Mayan calendar according to Kalaman. So we're hosting on Saturday so that more of you can come. This wonderful 2-hour-long concluding meditation event. So it's held at a wonderful place that we can't publicly announce. So come and enjoy it together.
Thank you. I also want to thank our food angels. I see one standing way back there. They bring food every week, and we're so appreciative of that. We'd like to have some time after the service for us all to mingle back there and get to know each other, because that's what community is all about. So please join us for that afterwards. I know we do have to have the space cleared by 1 o'clock for the Haverhaw Children's Program. Are there any other announcements that I'm missing? Yes.
I'm Mark. I've come to Ashland to offer 3 different events on a weekly basis. One is the dance meditation. The other is a rockin' rippin' dance. The other is a music meditation. They're all there for you to go through the feeling and emotions that stop you from experiencing God. However you want to interpret that, the divine, your truest self, your wisdom, all that. If you come and you do it in sincerity, with deep prayer and reverence and passion and desire, I can almost promise you results. If you're interested in that kind of movement, or you're going through some kind of transition and you want some change in movement, at the end of this service, please find me at the table. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, it's time to move into some rockin' music. Please join me in welcoming Frankie Hernandez and Richard Williams. Yes. Let's join them.
stand up. And let's do an invocation and welcome in a modified Osho style. We did an Osho meditation a while back here, and it was pretty wild. We cleared the chairs and had to get in our bodies. This is a modified Osho, okay? So what I want you to do, as you felt that beat that Frankie was doing, I want you to take your foot and do that for a minute. Yeah. You can feel yourself grounding. And now the Osho thing to do is you take both your feet at the same time and you jump up. Okay? And then we're going to add to it as you're jumping up and down. I am here. 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 Right, the second part is. We're going to do that for a little bit, and then we're going to add a second part to it is lifting up your hands so you get this feeling of being bigger than this space and bigger than your body. I am eternal. I am eternal. And when you say that, make it turn around. I am eternal. I am eternal. All right, let's start from the beginning. Now let's do a few ups and downs, and then here we go with the jumps. I am here. 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 I am eternal. 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 I am here. I am here. I am here. I am here. I am eternal. I am eternal. I am eternal. I am eternal. You gotta get moving a little bit. You can't just sit there and we are here. We are eternal. That's the great mystery. Rabindranath Tagore. Can you say his first name? Rabindranath Tagore, one of my favorite poets that I discovered in college. Bengali poet. He said, "Death is not extinguishing the light. Death is not extinguishing the light. It's putting out the lamp because the dawn has come." Death is not extinguishing the light. It's putting out the lamp because the dawn has come. Oh. On that note, let's have our children come up, and I'd like to tell you a little story. Hi, kids. Yeah, you can sit right there for a minute because I have a little story to tell you today. Want to sit right there in the front row? Have you ever heard of a guy named C.S. Lewis?
Yes.
How come?
C.S.
C.S. Lewis? Well, let me...
Lewis writes the
Yes.
Chronicles of Narnia.
Yes.
I love the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yes! Thank you! Very good. The Chronicles of Narnia. Did you guys see the film? Did you see the film?
Chronicles
did
of
you?
Narnia are the only books he or she or whatever
He
has ever written for kids.
Yes,
All the
they're-
others are for grown-ups, and they all have less books than the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, he wrote a lot for kids, didn't he? Yes. Well, he wrote this other book that's very similar to the Chronicles of Narnia because it's a story, and it's called The Great Divorce. Now, he wasn't talking about a divorce between people. He was talking about this great gap between what some people think of as hell and some people think of as heaven. But he told the story in a really funny way, because he said that there were all these people that were in this dark place, and it never got light there. It just sort of rained all the time and was really gray. But they had an opportunity, if they wanted to, they could go to this one bus stop, and they could get on the bus, and it was told to them that they could have a trip to heaven, to a really bright, beautiful place if they wanted to go. But hardly anybody believed it. And so not very many people even took the chance to go to the bus stop. And then while they were standing in line, they all started fighting. And they didn't, end up, very few made it onto the bus. But eventually a handful of them got on the bus, this bus, and it went kind of shooting through time. And when it came out in this other place, it was as big as an ant. Somehow the bus was only as big as an ant. And they got out of the bus, and they were little like ants, and the grass was really tall and sharp, and everything was so bright and shining that they felt kind of scared. And then they looked at themselves, and they could see right through because they were kind of ghostly-like. They were kind of like almost invisible. They weren't very solid. Well, some of them just ran right back into the bus. But one of the brave ones, he kept going, and he started walking, ouch, 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 as he walked along the sharp grass. And then he saw coming at him this really bright, bright light. And as it got closer, he realized it was a person. And he said to the person, "Where am I? Where am I? Am I in heaven?" And this is what the guy said to him. And here's where it's a good answer for adults and for children. Here's what he said. He said, "If you keep going and keep walking towards heaven, if you keep going, keep walking towards heaven, then everything will have been heaven. But if you turn around and go back in the bus and go towards hell, then everything that's happened will have been hell." Isn't that interesting? It depends on your perspective, in other words. Did you get the story? Did you get it?
Yes, we got it.
Maybe you could help him get it some more when you go to your Sunday school class. Let's rub our hands together and say thank you to you guys. So we tell you, we love you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ light shining in you. We're really glad you're here. Have a fun time with your teachers. Throw that away. There's a teacher back there. So death brings us to questions of the afterlife. C.S. Lewis was trying to make some wonderful points in the book The Great Divorce. I hope someday they make a movie out of that book. But that point that he made right toward the beginning of the book was that each day, each moment, it's our decision to create heaven on earth, to wake up and create heaven right here today. So Frankie has a song for us called Afterlife. And I haven't heard it. I want to see what it says about the afterlife.
This song would be more on the hell side of things. But at least it's funny. Afterlife, you could be headed for some serious strife, and now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow there'll be hell to pay. In the afterlife, you may be headed for some serious strife, now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow will be hell today. People listen attentively, I mean about the future calamity. Used to think the idea was obsolete till I heard the that's damping his feet. In the afterlife, you may be headed for some serious strife. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay. This is a place where eternally fire is applied to the body. The teeth are extracted and ground in cakes that are passed around. In the afterlife, you may be headed for some serious strife. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay. In the afterlife, you may be headed for some serious strife. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay. But all the things that you tried to hide will be revealed on the other side. In the afterlife, you may be headed for some serious strife. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay. In the afterlife, you may be headed for some serious strife. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay. All day, and tomorrow they'll be held to pay. In the afterlife, you may be headed for some serious strife. Now you make the scene all day, but tomorrow they'll be held to pay.
That song reminds me of a joke my dad used to tell. He said it was the shortest sermon ever preached in our tradition that I came from. Shortest sermon ever preached. If you think it's hot here, just wait. And my daughter has said that if we preached about hell more in unity, there might be more people here. Now, why is that? The churches that preach a lot about hell have 20,000 people coming. Yeah, people do get motivated by fear. And Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, they had fears going on in their lives. When they were led to found what became Unity, they were facing death. They were facing death through her having tuberculosis, and he actually had faced death through having polio, and his one leg 5 inches shorter than the other. So you know this. You've been around Unity for a while. You know that they faced into their own near-death experiences, and out of that came to understand that there is no hell. They had unitive experiences. So today I want to talk about death, about befriending death, both from a unity perspective, but it's also a perspective of mystics, of mystical experiencing people all over the world. It's an interesting week that has just passed, a very deep and powerful week. because I experienced being at the bedside of our dear friend, Unity community member and community of Ashland, beloved person, Faith. And during the same week, Gaddafi died. So to me it was the death of someone who was saint-like, a wonderful, wonderful being, Faith, and the death of someone who people say was an evil person. Some people say he was very wicked. So in Unity, we believe that every person, when they leave this body, heads toward the light. Heads toward the light. That's what we're going to talk about today. That mystery. I've asked Belle to come today, and I was up at her house was it a solstice or full moon ritual? And Belle is a wonderful friend, but a teacher of Nia dance. And on this day up at her house, up in the Green Springs, were some of you there at the full moon ritual? And Belle did this wonderful rendition of this David White poem from the book The House of Belonging. And I thought it was so appropriate for our topic today. And I asked her to come and do whatever kind of presentation of it she wants to do for us today, a reading, an embodied reading in whatever way you'd like, Belle, of this wonderful David White poem. Thank you so much for coming.
Richard, take it away.
Microphone right here.
So hello, everyone. I invite the sharing of this wonderful David White poem, The House of Belonging, that you just go inside and get all the levels that the House of Belonging is for you. And I invite that it extends as far out to the world of including the death of Gaddafi, the death of your beautiful community member, Faith, and then the place inside yourself, this temple inside yourself, beyond the home that you live in, it's the home you live in. I awoke this morning in the gold light, and on the Green Springs it was that this morning, thinking for a moment it was one day like any other. But the veil was gone from my darkened heart, and I thought, it must have been the quiet candlelight that filled my room. It must have been the first easy rhythm with which I breathed myself to sleep. Oh, it must have been the prayer that I said, speaking to the otherness of the night. And I thought, this is the good day I could meet my love. This is the dark day someone close to me could die. This is the day I remember. This is the day that I remember how easily the thread is broken between this world and the next. And I found myself sitting up in that quiet pathway of light. The tawny, close-grained cedar blazing round me like fire, and all the angels of this housely heaven arising through the first roof of light the sun has made. The tawny, close-grained cedar burning round me like fire, and all the angels of this housely heaven arising through the first roof of light the sun has made. This is the bright place I call home. 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 This is where I invite my friends to come. This is where I want to love all the things it's taken me so long to learn to love. This is where I want to learn to love all the things it has taken me so long to love. This is the temple of my adult aloneness. 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 And I belong to that aloneness. And I belong to that aloneness as I belong to my life. There is no house like the house of belonging. There is no house like the house of belonging. And just join me this last time. There is no house like the house of belonging. Thank you, David White.
Thank you, Val. Beautiful. Let's take that beautiful temple, that adult house of aloneness, that place of belonging as an entree into a meditation. So sitting fully down into your body. Taking a full, deep cleansing breath. Exhaling as fully and as comfortably as you can. Breathing deeply down into your abdomen. Can you feel that? Breathing deeply down into your abdomen. And then breathing out fully and completely. And once more breathing in and out. Imagining this time that you're sending the warm energy of your breath to any part of your body that might be sore or tight. And releasing any discomfort as you exhale. So that you can feel your breath loosening and softening any tight places. Breathing them out. So that more and more you can feel safe and easy. Relaxed and comfortable. If any unwelcome thoughts come to your mind, those too can be released with an out-breath. So that you're tuning in now, just for a moment. Inviting the mind to become smooth and still, free and clear. And you're blessed with stillness. And now, directing your attention inward, focusing on your heart. Your heart. Curious about how your heart feels right now. So with all the focus that you can bring to bear, detached and curious, you might even want to place the flat palm of your hand over it to help you focus your attention there. As you connect to the powerful rhythms of your heart, sensing how it pulses life and strength all through your body. And focus your breath there so that you're imagining that you're actually breathing through your heart, in and out, as if the breath was actually coming in through your heart and out through your heart. So you begin to feel a warmth and a fullness gathering in the center of your chest. Breathe there, in and out, through the very center of your heart. Just allowing your natural feelings of love and care to begin to collect there, all around and through your heart. You might become aware of the feeling of the air around you, becoming a little bit more bristling with aliveness, like a gently vibrating cushion of energy, softly surrounding and protecting you, gently vibrating and pulsing, perhaps even sparkling with some color. Hearing some gentle humming sound as you continue to breathe through your heart, sending this energy of the out-breath into this living, pulsing field of protective energy, making it more and more palpable. Inside this cushion, you feel safe and protected, able to take in whatever is nourishing you. Yes, and being insulated from whatever you don't want or need. Now sensing this cushion of energy drawing closer to you, the love and sweetness. The love and sweetness that you have felt at times in your life from friends or loved ones. At any time that you may have felt loving kindness that has ever been sent your way, bring it to your mind now. I know someone has probably prayed a prayer of good wishes for you, permeating and filling the energy field around you. Just draw in right now every smile, every nod of respect, every thank you of gratitude, pulling it all like a powerful magnet, calling every good wish home, home into your temple. And so increasing this powerful, vibrating, loving field around you. And now perhaps even sensing someone who has loved you standing there near you right now. Maybe you can catch a fleeting glimpse or notice an old familiar scent or hear the familiar timbre of their voice, their lovely voice. Possibly feeling a presence by your side, or maybe even the soft weight of their gentle hand on your shoulder. People from your life that may be still alive or long gone. Remembering these people that have loved you. Maybe even an animal, or a guardian angel, or a sweet spirit or magical being. All spiritual helpers and healers, dearest friends, we call them right now to come to your assistance, to help you with your intention to heal more fully and more completely, and to be a healing force in the life of others. And now, I want you to imagine one particular loved one, someone whom perhaps you didn't get to say something to that you wanted to say. They could be still alive or they could be passed on. But imagine this one particular loved one coming. Father, mother, grandparent, son, daughter, someone that you haven't yet said something that you need to say to them. And in this sacred moment, in this temple of your belonging, call them closer to you. And imagine with your heartfelt feelings what look comes from your eye, what facial expression, what expression of your hands or your body reach out to them, and what do your words want to say. In this pause, imagine an encounter with this being, and imagine that you get to say something that you haven't yet said. Now Now imagine that this being offers something back to you. It may be a wrapped gift. It may be a gesture. It may be a complete surprise. Receive this gift into your hands, feeling its texture, catching its scent, feeling this gift coming into your heart, and looking in the face of this beloved one, smiling at one another, knowing that you today have given a gift, a long-awaited gift. And you see this being stepping back, peacefully and easily, stepping back into the mist, knowing that you can invite them back whenever you need to, whenever you wish, thanking them for this moment, and still breathing deeply and easily, still aware of the warmth in the center of your chest, and still sensing the cushion of protection, energy all around you. Once again, feel yourself in the center of your body, peaceful and steady. Feeling your feet on the ground, and your breath deeply in your belly. Breathing deeply and gently, very gently. And with softened eyes, you can allow yourself to come back into this room whenever you wish, knowing that in a deep place you are better for this. You are better for this. And so you are. Amen. I don't know what happened for you. I hope you had some experience of going into the temple of your own belonging. Sometimes I put people on the spot and I ask you to turn to someone and share. Would you like to do that? Would you like to turn, or would you like to keep it to yourself? What's the general feel? Keep it within. Keep it within. Okay. Got off the hook. There's a song that Frankie has next for us, and I haven't heard these songs, and I'm just amazed at how perfect and particularly wonderful they are for today. And this next one is called Grandma's Hands. Grandma's Hands.
Grandma's hands clapping church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played the tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue out a warning. She said, Frankie, don't you run so fast. Might fall on a piece of glass. Might be snakes there in that grass. Grandma's hands. Grandma's hands, Grandma's hands, soothe the local hunger mother. Grandma's hands used to ache sometimes and swell. Grandma's hands used to lift her feet and tell her, she said, baby, Grandma understands that you really love that man. Put yourself in Jesus' hands, Grandma's hands. Whoa, Grandma's hands. candy, Grandma's hands pick me up each time I fell. Grandma's hands, boy, they sure did come in handy. She said, Mary, don't you whip that boy. What you wanna spank him for? He didn't drop no apple core, but I don't have Grandma anymore. When I get to heaven, I'll be looking for Grandma's hands. Oh, Grandma's hands. I got Grandma's hands. Reach for Grandma's hands. I got Grandma's hands.
My dad died a few years back, before I moved here. Luckily that summer, while he was in the dying process, Nisha was out of school and I could take time off, and I got to go back east and spend 3 months with him. I had to go back because school started, but then I got a call just a week after we got back to New Mexico, and my mom said, he's going now, you've got to come. So hopped on a plane and went back again. And I got to hold my father's hands as he was passing over. And I studied his hands for a long time as I held his hands. They look exactly like my hands. And I just thought, there's no doubt he's my dad. We have the same hands. But all my life, I had been hoping and waiting for my dad to accept me just the way that I am. And he grew up in a right-wing, Christian ideology, and so that was hard for him. Hard for him to accept me as life went along, and I found out more and more of my authentic self. And so at the deathbed there, I was hoping and waiting for some last words. Like it says in the Bible, that you sit at the deathbed hoping for the blessing of the patriarch so that you receive the blessing. He could speak, but he didn't speak. And we sang, and my mother was on one side and I on the other, and it was reminiscent for me this week when I was there at Faith's house, and her daughter was on one side and her mother on the other, holding the hands. There's something about holding the hands as a person's getting ready to pass on through. At a certain point, my mother fell asleep, and my father started to go. And it was as if he was calling back through a tunnel. That's the only way I can describe it. But it came through like this. Like through a tunnel. I think he was already partway out of his body, in other words, and getting partway out, he was able to call back to me the words I was waiting and longing to hear. Norma. His name was Norman. Norma. I've always loved you. Sometimes it's so hard in this body, with all the cultural accretions and all the baggage, to say the words that we need to say and want to say to the people closest to us. But somehow he found a way from over there to get the message back when he was probably already heading toward the light and in a different consciousness. So what I want to talk about today is what gets us to that point while we're still in life, of being able to say the things we need to say and be the persons that we need to be. I'm happy to be here to talk to you today about death. As strange as that may sound, I'm happy to talk about death. I titled the topic today, Befriending Death. How do we come to be friends with such a difficult character? As I look back on my life, it seems since the moment of my birth that I've had to befriend death. You see, my dear mother almost died when I was born. She had a near-death experience at the portal which I was coming through, the passageway of my birth. So I had to pause at the threshold, knowing that this portal, this passageway, was the passageway between birth and death and birth for 10 days. For 10 days, I had to pause. My father and grandmother were caught in a snowstorm many miles away, and I had to pause. No one to receive me into this world of belonging. I had to pause at this portal for 10 days, wondering where was my house of belonging. There or here, here or there. Without the comforting arms of my mother for those first 10 days of this bodily life, I believe I was attended by the angels at the threshold for a long time. That the angels lingered, the angels of death, the angels of birth. Who's to say? They became my closest companions. No wonder I stayed strongly connected to there while here. No wonder my first job at the age of 21 was being a social worker in a nursing home, where hundreds of bodies lingered on the threshold of death, many long abandoned by family and bereft of friends. There I studied death. Just as the first step that Buddha gave to young monks who wanted to become meditators, he said, go to the charnel grounds and see the decaying bodies. Study this, and you will progress on the spiritual path. So I too began my career as a spiritual aspirant in the charnel grounds of our culture, observing how death came, knocking, sometimes for a long time. I still remember each day in that nursing home as if it were today. The smells and sounds and aching needs unmet of how our culture stores death far away, not wanting to attend to it or see it or touch it. I called so many relatives begging them to come, and very few did. I have great compassion for us humans. How we need to turn and hide and run away and run toward life and grip onto life and hold on to life. And yet, we shall each be called upon at some point to befriend death. Why not sooner than later? Why not now? Because to talk about death is to talk about life. Talking about each in the same breath, we realize that we're speaking of a cycle, a doorway in and out. They're connected. The passageway is the same. Perhaps that's why Matthew Fox, my creation-centered theologian mentor, says that we must befriend our origins in order to overcome our fear of death and to overcome this kind of religion that we've been taught that teaches us to fear hell and fear death. We have to honor our origins, he says. Our passageway here through the dark tunnel, the womb of our mothers, our first spiritual journey. We arrive here from somewhere, and we go out to somewhere. To honor our origins through our womb experience is the beginning of knowing life, is the beginning of befriending death. So what does that mean for you? What has that meant to humans all through the ages? Sometimes all that's standing between you and knowing that you are eternal and not being afraid of death is some kind of experience of death while you're still alive. How many of you have had some kind of experience of death while you're still alive? There's so many ways that this can happen. And there's so many pathways to practice this. that have existed on this planet all through the ages. The Eleusinian mysteries, the mystery of Demeter and Persephone going down into the earth and her mother longing for her, go down into Hades and coming back. These were practiced for 2,000 years on planet Earth. The Isis and Osiris myth, practiced for eons in Egypt. The tales of death and rebirth of Quetzalcoatl in the southern hemisphere. The life and death of Jesus the Nazarite. All the heroes and heroines that we humans have go down into the earth. As a grain of corn must die before it can first bring forth fruit, Jesus said. It's humbling to honor our origins. The way we got here is through becoming very, very small and becoming large again. The way we got into this life was by way of letting go of something grand and becoming very, very small. And the way that we get out of here is by letting go of something wonderful and becoming very small and going through the passageway again. Anya sent me a quote by John O'Donohue that I love that man. I don't know if any of you ever met him, but he died suddenly at age 51 a couple of years ago. A great Irish Celtic theologian. He said, "Death is an invitation to freedom. If you really live your life to the full, death will never have power over you. If you really live your life to the full, death will never have power over you. It will never seem like a destructive, negative event. It can become for you the moment of release into the deepest treasures of your own nature. It can be your full entry into the temple of your soul. If you're able to let go of things, if you learn to die spiritually in little ways throughout your life, when you learn to let go of things, a greater generosity, openness, and breath comes into your life. Imagine this letting go multiplied 1,000 times at the moment of your death. That release can bring you a completely new divine belonging. Isn't that beautiful? A life begun by having to let go of things. That was my life. So I was released into the deepest treasure of my own nature, where I had to dwell first and foremost. And therein I was gifted with a great fearlessness. Some people have said to me, "You're the bravest person I've ever met." I don't know about that. There's lots of brave warriors in this world, but I have had a lot of courage in this life. And as a child, I was sure that I was of some kind of royal personhood. Some kind of nobility. Living in a little town in western New York. How about you? Did you know that you were of some kind of nobility when you were born? The Buddha said, "O nobly born one." That's you. O nobly born one. That phrase cries out to us to remember our origins. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it repeats it over and over again. If you're trying to help someone make a passage into the other life and you're sitting at their bedside, you say to them, "O nobly born one." Go toward the light. Our origination in the light as we make our way once more toward the light. Our origination is in the light, and we are making our lives toward the light. All of our lives. O nobly born, you are entitled to nobly die. This week, as I said, I was privileged to sit by the bedside of a nobly born member of our community, a beloved servant of the Ashland community, so I couldn't help but talk about it today. She was truly a light in our world. As the old African-American spiritual song goes, we gotta walk this lonesome valley. We gotta walk it by ourselves. Nobody else can walk it for us. Yes, In and out we go. Faith went off, supposedly by herself, seemingly alone. And yet, because she had stood in the temple of her aloneness in her adult life and had not been afraid of that, she didn't go off alone. And I believe with every fiber of my being that she was met right there at the threshold by other beings who were as loving and close to her as the ones that were holding her hands. I too have walked this passageway into the arms of death. I've walked many lonesome valleys of justice making and standing strong for truth. And I'm one of those who's still alive and has passed over in a near-death experience. I was 42 when I passed over. It came through a car accident that was, as I look back on it, surely not an accident. My near-death experience came 3 days after the accident, and you've heard me talk about it before. As these experiences tend to be, they are so riveting and so life-changing that I can't help but hearken back to it over and over again. It's as if it was BC and AD in a time calendar, before the accident and after. Interesting that I had spent several years leading up to that moment being a student of human behaviors of violence and of courageous survival acts of people who live through domestic violence, and of working as a hospice for AIDS chaplain. So I had been around death and dying a lot before my own near-death experience. But up until my own experience, I was very much in this Buddhist mindset that I felt that we would be extinguished when we died. Like a drop going into the ocean and just becoming one in consciousness. But after my near-death experience, after my encounter, I realized this was a great misunderstanding. This was a great perception error. Because as C.S. Lewis said, it rang through myself. If we are personal and we have personal relations here in this dimension, the afterlife is no less than this dimension. It's much, much more. So I was met by very personal beings. I knew them better than I knew my own mother and father that were sitting in the room. Very personal beings. Aldous Huxley, author of The Brave New World, said, "Our last rites should make us more conscious rather than less conscious, more human rather than less human." If those were my last rites, I became more conscious in a very surprising way. I was actually shocked to see how very, very personal everything is on the other side. So now, when I sit by the bedside or when I'm talking to friends and family of someone who's dying, I have a personal experience. I can say, I went there for a little while. And I tell you, it's very, very personal. Now there have been over 8 million case studies done on people who've had near-death experiences since I had mine. These books have been written in the last 8 years. All the studies of near-death experiences say some important things. When I first came out of my near-death experience, some people who were in the medical world said to me, "Oh, that was just caused by the morphine drip you were on when you were in intensive care." That really made me wonder. I didn't know. But I had a feeling that wasn't true. Now there's been a lot of research that's been done about that, and there's a doctor from Great Britain who said that there's no way that a morphine drip or even endorphins released in the brain or any kind of chemical anywhere could have people experience what they experience in near-death moments. And also the fact that every person, no matter what religion they're from, no matter what country they're from, no matter how old they are, has the same experience. So no, it's not caused by some external thing like that. But yes, it is very similar to experiences that mystics have had all throughout the ages. In a wonderful book called The Journey Home, What Near-Death Experiences and Mysticism Teach Us About the Gift of Life, Philip Berman writes of many experiences of humans in recent times that have had near-death experiences and mystics throughout the ages, and compares their experiences. Just a couple examples. A Christian grandmother, Barbara Baird, had this to say. When I left my body, I immediately saw a cluster of stars, and this cluster was very bright, like a white light. I wanted to count them, but I couldn't. I did not sense that the stars were God, though they were my destination. The divine presence was not the stars. The divine presence was all around me, radiating such good feelings. I guess you might say that I felt the divine presence in me rather than saw it. How can I describe a feeling of being in God, of being in the presence of God? All I know is that during my near-death experience, I was in the heart of God. For I could see that God pervaded all matter, all being, all space, all non-space, everything. The divine presence was everywhere. I never expected to experience this. Then a Buddhist said that he saw the great white light and it was brilliant. It was what he thought some would have called sunyata, or total emptiness. It was this emptiness, which is not a fearful thing, but a marvelous thing. There was such a peace, a calm, a sense of being freed from the ego. I didn't achieve enlightenment, but I got a taste of what that might be like. Another person who called themselves an atheist before their near-death experience said, it was just like pure consciousness. This enormously bright light seemed almost to cradle me. I just seemed to exist in it and be part of it and be nurtured by it. And the feeling just became more and more ecstatic and glorious and perfect. Well, somehow it doesn't matter what our religious beliefs are, how we formulate it ahead of time in our minds. We go somewhere when we leave these bodies. The mystical experience is said, it could be summed up in 5 experiences: unity with God, self-transcendence, timelessness, ecstasy, and conversion. Unity with God. So you hear this in what I just read, those feelings of unity with God. The Buddhist mystic said, when the 10,000 things are viewed in their oneness, we return to the origin and remain where we have always been. When the 10,000 things are viewed in their oneness, we return to the origin and remain where we have always been. Self-transcendence. When it happened to me, I described it as being out beyond this place where there was any distinction between good and evil, right or wrong, to a place where I knew in an immediate way that we're all one. And somehow when I was there, it all made sense. Meister Eckhart, who Eckhart Tolle might be named after, said, if the soul is to know God, it must forget itself. For as long as it's self-conscious, it will not see or be conscious of God. But when for God's sake it becomes unself-conscious and lets go of everything, it will find itself again in God. Timelessness. When I saw these beings, I described them as if they were my friends from ages past and ages future. Timelessness. Rabbi Heschel wrote, to men alone time is elusive. To men with God, time is eternity in disguise. Ecstasy. One person having a near-death experience said, I had this feeling of ecstasy and bliss such as I had never known, enveloping me entirely. Conversion. Both people who've had mystical experiences and near-death experiences come to know deep in themselves that there not only is life after this body, but this life becomes much more full of love and compassion when they come out of this experience. Life takes a turn. When a woman experiencing near-death in Minnesota put it, "My consciousness seemed to expand beyond the limitations and confines of my brain. I could see further, I could feel more intensely, I could hear better, and I could feel the interconnections between things like never before." And then another woman in Michigan said that she's married to a lawyer, and she had many beautiful things, but when she had her near-death experience, she experienced a conversion. She said, "I wanted a very simple life after that. And I gave away everything I could so that we could live very simply. And then I just try to spend every day loving as many people and blessing as many people with the funds that we have as I can." Conversion. So mysticism and near-death experiences are the wellspring from which a good theology springs. And I believe here at Unity we have a good theology. It's a mystical theology. And it tends to be the same throughout religions and spiritual teachings the world over. It could be called an eternal theology, or a theology of the eternal. Indeed, Episcopal Bishop John Shelby Spong, in a recent book entitled Eternal Life, I didn't bring it with me, he came through in his elder life, his own, not near-death experience, but what happened to him was he saw his Episcopal church going through a possible split over the issue of gay-lesbian ordination. And do you know that was what it took to bring him all the way through to an eternal theology? So his last book that he's written is called Eternal Life Now. And in it, he talks about once you come into this consciousness, your life will never be the same. Your theology will never be the same. Well, that's where my dad got that day. He got through to that place. That's the place that I think here in this temple that we're inviting one another to get through to while we're still alive. That place of unitive consciousness, that place of timelessness, that place of, what are some of the other things I said? Unity consciousness. Can you remember them? Timelessness. It's a test. Ecstasy. Conversion. And the other one was self-transcendence. These are the things that we can find ways to practice in our daily lives by stepping through whatever portals present themselves to us and finding the portal moments. Portal moments. You don't have to be sitting by the bedside of someone who's dying to have a portal moment and to realize that we are coming and going all the time from eternity to eternity. That we're here at any particular moment to create heaven on earth. Thank you. Frankie song. Richard's song called Home.
all my memories, like coins of gold. I take one out and hold it close. It warms me in the cold. I see her face and wonder how she'd look if she'd grown old. Precious colors, autumn song, but the light is fading and the call is strong. For I've grown weary of travelers' tales and the thrill of new horizons is gone a little stale. The season turns, the wanderer yearns for an old familiar trail. Follow the sun, the waters growing calmer. Down from the hard lands, finding peace in the valley. I've been blessed, I've been burned, I've seen such wondrous things. And in fortune and frailty, 10,000 lessons learned. Still my pack has grown lighter through the years, filled with silence and laughter and tears. Snowflake fall as a raven calls, tick by tick, weaving old winter's shawl. And I carry the treasure of all I've known and celebrate the mystery in all that I've been shown, and smile to think of what can come of all the seeds I've sown, and bow my head in simple thanks to know I'm not alone. But I'm finished here, and it's time to go home.
Thank you for feeling that and for writing it, Richard. Beautiful. As we have our offering taken now, I think I'll have Anya come and read a final David White poem during the offering as a benediction. It's a most beautiful conclusion for everything that we've been talking about today. It's called What to Remember on Waking. So come forth and take the offering, Stella and Miney. And we'll provide the mic.
what to remember when waking. In that first hardly noticed moment to which you wake, coming back to this life from the other, more secret, movable, and frighteningly honest world, where everything began, there is a small opening into the new day which closes the moment you begin your plans. What you can plan is too small for you to live. What you can live wholeheartedly. What you can live wholeheartedly will make plans enough for the vitality hidden in your sleep. To be human is to become visible while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others. To remember the other world in this world is to live in your true inheritance. You are not a troubled guest on this earth. You are not an accident amidst other accidents. You were invited from another and greater night than the one from which you have just emerged. Now, looking through the slanting light of the morning window toward the mountain presence of everything that can be, what urgency calls you to your one love? What shape waits in the seed of you to grow and spread its branches against a future sky? Is it waiting in the fertile sea, in the trees beyond the house, in the life you can imagine for yourself, in the open and lovely white page on the waiting desk?
I want to say it in that way that has the 4 parts to it. Okay. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. So it is. Thank you. I want to say a special thank you and blessing to Riney and Estella for doing this faithfully through the months and years that they've been doing it. And Riney's getting ready to retire as treasurer. He gave me his resignation this morning, and he's been telling me that it's been coming. And so just want to really thank you all for doing it every week. And it's like a death of a role. There's all kinds of deaths. They're still going to be here with us, but just not in that role. So there's an opening for others to step in and be the treasurer. Stay tuned, because we're going to be having a call forth for leaders of various parts of our jobs that are here during early November. So, okay. Let's get into our big circle and have our final song that Frankie has brought to us today. Spread down that wrist, yeah. Keep pushing that going. We could all just come up front. Yes.
Get over here, Russ. how it could be much fun walking around like you're number one. Everybody asking your name, trying to figure out the rules of your game. As for me, I'd like to let go, watching the birdies up outside my window. You seem like you've come a long, long way. If you're looking to be happy, all I got to say is lighten up. Whoa, lighten up. Don't take yourself so serious. Lighten up. Whoa, lighten up. Don't take yourself so serious. Whoa, whoa. We're just lighting up. When I think of all the time I wasted, it makes me want to set the clock back so I can change. Now I know the past is gone, and there's nothing left to do but carry on. Oh, lighten up. Whoa, lighten up. Don't take yourself so serious. Lighten up. Whoa, lighten up. Don't take yourself so serious. Whoa, whoa. Come on, everybody sing. Whoa, lighten up. Whoa, lighten up. Don't take yourself so serious. Lighten up. Whoa, lighten up. Don't take yourself so serious. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So lighten up.
Russ, have a blessed week, knowing that together we've done a beautiful thing.
Sign up for the Mayan calendar in the back for